In 1505, a fleet of ships led by Portuguese sailor Lorenzo de Almeida sailed to uncharted waters beyond the Maldives. Their journey brought them to the picturesque port of Galle on the southern shores of Sri Lanka. The arrival of Almeida's fleet altered the course of Sri Lanka's history, ending its long-held independence and ushering in a new era of European dominance in the country.
A land where the secrets of 3 colonial empires are awakened. A historic site where the unique cultural identities of 3 cultures are beautifully interwoven. A towering fortification holding ancient secrets within its walls, waiting to be unraveled. This story is one that is seldom told, and it starts now.
The Portuguese weren't content with merely establishing a presence in Galle. To solidify their control, they constructed the first European-style fort on Sri Lankan soil. This main fortification was built in 1588 next to the Galle harbour which existed at the time. Primarily known as Fortaleza, this towering structure has borne many names over the centuries, including the Black Fort and Zwart Bastion. The Portuguese who disembarked from their vessels would enter the fort through the lower terrace of Fortaleza, proceeded through a tunnel and eventually emerge into the upper terrace.
I am currently in a tunnel which connects the lower terrace of the Black Fort that was constructed by the Portuguese to the upper terrace of this fort. Now, it should be mentioned that the Black Fort was the first fortification or the first fort which was constructed by the Portuguese. And of course, there were many security measures which were imparted on this fort, including what you see behind me, the sliding vertical gate to stop any enemies from storming the fort, and also something very exciting, which is a secret cellar for Portuguese soldiers to hide in terms of an invasion. Let us check it out right now. As you can see right now, this cellar is engulfed in darkness, essentially used to hold Portuguese soldiers who hid in this cellar in terms of an invasion or when it needed security. It is certainly an interesting feature that has been incorporated into the design of the Black Fort.
High atop the Black Fort, one can still find remnants of structures erected during the Portuguese era. In March of 1640, Dutch forces, armed with powerful cannons, launched an assault on the Galle fort. For 4 long days, they relentlessly bombarded the fort. The assault was brutal. The damage inflicted on the fort was substantial.
ලන්දේසින් මේ ස්ථානය ඔවුන්ගේ පාලනය යටතට ගත්තට පස්සේ ඉතින් පෙනෙන්නට තිබෙන ගොඩනැගිල්ල නිර්මාණය කරනවා අවියායුධ නිෂ්පාදනය කරන කම්මලක් විදියට. ඒ කම්මලේ විශේෂයෙන්ම සේවකයන් විදියට පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙන්නේ අප්‍රිකන් ජාතික කළු ජාතිකයන්. කළු කොටුව කියලා නම විවහාර වෙන්න ප්‍රධානතම හේතු දෙකක් අපිට මූලාශ්‍ර වලින් හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන්. විශේෂයෙන්ම පිටින් බලපු අයට කළු කොටුව පෙනිලා තියෙන්නේ සුදු ජාතිකයන් ඇතුළත සිටින කළු ජාතිකයන් විශාල පිරිසක් තමයි පෙනිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ හේතු නිසා මේකට කළු කොටුව කියලා විවහාර වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව කම්මලේ වැඩ කරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ ගල්ලංගුරු මාධ්‍යයෙන්. එතකොට ඒහා බැඳුණු දුමාරය හින්දා කළු කොටුව පරිශ්‍රය කියලා දැනට විවහාර වෙනවා.
Adjacent to the tunnel connecting the upper and lower terrace of Fortaleza is a flight of stairs descending to an underground structure.
Gunpowder was an essential item or an ingredient when it came to the colonial era. And I am currently in an underground gunpowder magazine within the Black Fort. Because we know that gunpowder is a very volatile substance, it needed to be preserved and ensure that it did not accidentally cause or catch on fire. The ingenious engineers of the Black Fort had developed a very fascinating ventilation system. To this day remains and provides ventilation to this particular structure. Although you cannot see an opening within this ventilation system, cool breeze continues to flow in through this hole and provides a very cool breeze and a ventilation to this entire barrel vaulted structure.
Thanks to the tireless efforts of organizations including the Galle Heritage Foundation and the Department of Archaeology, the Galle Fort's history is resurfacing for the world to marvel at. But as we explore these unearthed secrets, it is important to remember the true builders of this magnificent structure. While the Portuguese, Dutch and British may have ruled Sri Lanka in different eras, the back-breaking labor that constructed this fort was done by Sri Lankans and Africans. Their stories deserve to be prominently heard as the stones they laid.
By today, the historic Galle Fort is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is among the most significant tourist hotspots, generating vital foreign revenue for Sri Lanka. But none of these three colonial powers who built and developed this fort, the Portuguese, the Dutch or the British, would have been able to make their vision a reality if not for the blood, sweat and tears shed by the laborers, both native and migrant, who expended their efforts in building this ultimate fortification. And because of that, their efforts and their labor must be remembered in a positive light.